the island that refused to die. In the vast emptiness of the Pacific Ocean lies a small black island of volcanic ash. Barely 8 square miles, no cities, no civilians, no strategic beauty. Yet in 1945, this island would become one of the most violent killing grounds in modern military history. Its name was Iwo Jima. To the American command, Iwo Jima was a stepping stone, a necessary base to escort bombers, rescue downed pilots, and tighten the noose around Japan. On maps, it looked simple, isolated, exposed, vulnerable. That assessment would cost tens of thousands of lives. When US forces arrived, they expected a familiar pattern: massive bombardment, crushed defenses, a brutal but predictable landing. The Pacific War had conditioned them to this rhythm. Islands fell after overwhelming firepower. Resistance collapsed under steel and explosives. But Iwo Jima was different, netted from the inside. The bombs fell. The shells thundered. The island shook for days under one of the most intense naval bombardments ever recorded. From the air, it appeared lifeless, scorched, flattened, annihilated. Then the Marines landed, and nothing happened. No gunfire, no counterattack, no resistance. For a brief moment, it seemed the bombardment had worked, that the island was dead. It was not. Beneath the ash, beneath the shattered surface, an entire army waited in silence, not hiding, not retreating, preparing. This was not a conventional defense. It was not meant to repel an invasion. It was designed to consume it. The man behind this strategy understood something crucial. The United States could not be stopped by force alone, but it could be slowed, bled, exhausted. Every meter could be paid for in lives. Every bunker could become a tomb. Iwo Jima was not meant to be won. It was meant to hurt. What followed was not a battle of maneuver, but a war against the ground itself. An enemy that did not charge, but watched. That did not defend beaches, but hunted from the shadows. Marines advanced only to be fired upon from behind, from below, from positions they thought they had already destroyed. The island became a three-dimensional battlefield: surface, underground, and psychological. And as casualties mounted, American commanders faced a terrifying realization. Traditional warfare no longer worked here. Bombs could not reach the enemy. Artillery could not silence him. Infantry assaults became grinding, murderous stalemates. The fortress beneath Iwo Jima had neutralized the strongest military on Earth, so the question changed. Not how do we advance, but how do we destroy an enemy who cannot be bombed, flushed out, or surrounded? The answer would come in the form of a weapon so devastating that it would turn the island's greatest strength into its fatal weakness. A weapon designed not to break walls, but to invade what lay behind them. Fire. What happened next would permanently alter how underground warfare was fought, and leave scars on those who survived, on both sides. This is the story of the fortress that defied everything, and the weapon that the fortress of Iwo Jima. In February 1945, the island of Iwo Jima was not merely a battlefield. It was a weapon. A weapon deliberately forged by one man, Tadamichi Kuribayashi. Unlike previous Japanese commanders in the Pacific, Kuribayashi rejected the traditional doctrine of defending beaches at all costs. He knew the outcome: naval bombardment, air superiority, annihilation before the enemy even landed. Instead, he designed something radically different: a living fortress beneath the ground. Over 18 kilometers of interlinked tunnels were carved directly into volcanic rock. More than 1,500 reinforced concrete bunkers, firing positions, command posts, and underground hospitals were constructed, some descending up to 7 levels underground. From above, the island looked barren and lifeless. In reality, it was crowded with invisible defenders. Kuribayashi's strategy was simple and terrifying: let the Americans land unopposed, then trap them inside a maze they could not see, bomb, or fully understand. US naval and aerial bombardments, among the heaviest of the entire war, pulverized the surface of the island for days. Yet when the Marines stormed the beaches, they encountered something deeply unsettling: silence. No massed gunfire, no immediate resistance. The enemy had vanished. That illusion lasted only minutes. From hidden apertures, Machine guns, mortars, and artillery erupted simultaneously. Every American advance triggered fire from multiple directions. When a bunker was destroyed, its occupants simply retreated through tunnels and reappeared somewhere else. A position cleared at noon could reopen by dusk. The tunnels gave the Japanese total tactical flexibility. Supplies, ammunition, and reinforcements moved unseen. Wounded soldiers were dragged underground and replaced instantly. Even after losing surface positions, the defenders remained operational. Bombing runs became almost meaningless. Explosions shook the island, but the defenders survived deep below, waiting. Kuribayashi had also issued a chilling order: no banzai charges, no suicidal mass attacks. Every soldier was instructed to kill as many enemy troops as possible before dying. The goal was not victory, but attrition, to make Iwo Jima so costly that it would slow or even halt the American advance toward Japan itself. For the US Marines, this created a psychological nightmare. There was no front line, no safe rear area. The ground itself was hostile. Every crater could conceal a firing slit. Every destroyed bunker could come back to life. The island became a war of endurance, and the fortress Kuribayashi built did exactly what it was meant to do. It turned Iwo Jima into one of the bloodiest battles in American military history. But the Americans would not remain without answers for long. The secret weapon. The Sherman Flame Tank. The American command quickly understood a brutal truth on Iwo Jima. Conventional firepower was failing. Naval artillery flattened the surface. Airstrikes scorched the island, yet the Japanese defenders remained operational, protected by Kuribayashi's underground fortress. Every bunker cleared by infantry fire reactivated minutes later. Grenades bounced off reinforced concrete. Satchel charges killed the position, but not the network behind it. The tunnels were winning. To break this deadlock, the US military turned to a weapon rarely discussed in official histories and deliberately hidden from the enemy until the last possible moment: the Sherman Flame Tank. 8 M4A3 Sherman tanks were secretly modified by US Navy Seabees in Hawaii. Their transformation was radical, but carefully disguised. The standard 75mm main gun was removed and replaced with a flamethrower projector, capable of firing thickened napalm-based fuel. The key innovation was deception. The flamethrower nozzle was concealed inside a fake gun barrel, making the tank indistinguishable from a standard Sherman. From a distance, or even up close, Japanese defenders believed they were facing conventional armor. They had no warning, no time to adapt. The weapon's performance was terrifying. Instead of a short-range flame burst, these tanks could project fire between 135 and 180 meters, far beyond the effective range of Japanese anti-tank teams and suicide attackers. The napalm did not simply burn on contact. It flowed. Liquid fire poured into bunker entrances, firing slits, ventilation shafts, cracks in concrete, and tunnel mouths. Gravity did the rest. Once inside, the flames spread rapidly through interconnected corridors, igniting oxygen, supplies, and human bodies alike. For the first time on Iwo Jima, American forces possessed a tool that could kill the fortress itself, not just its surface. Japanese defenders were often unaware of the danger until it was too late. Expecting a standard tank shell, they waited, then suddenly faced a wall of fire flooding their underground positions. Escape routes became death traps. Tunnels designed for protection turned into infernos. The psychological impact was devastating. Bunkers that had resisted days of bombardment fell in minutes. Positions once considered unassailable were abandoned instantly. Entire tunnel sections were rendered uninhabitable, even if no enemy soldier physically entered them. The flame tanks never operated alone. Infantry units followed closely, protecting the slow-moving Shermans from ambush and suicide teams. This combined arms approach neutralized one of the Japanese army's last hopes: close-range anti-tank attacks. By concealing their true purpose until the moment of firing, the flame tanks achieved complete tactical surprise. They did not just destroy defenses, they erased the logic behind them. Kuribayashi's underground strategy, brilliant in theory, now faced a weapon it had never been designed to counter, and once unleashed, there was no going back. Why the Japanese had no answer. The Japanese defenses on Iwo Jima were designed to survive shells, bombs, and bullets. They were not designed to survive fire. General Kuribayashi's tunnel network relied on three assumptions: protection from bombardment, controlled movement underground, and the ability to hold positions indefinitely through concealment. The American flame tanks shattered all three, simultaneously. Napalm was not simply a weapon of destruction. It was a weapon of penetration. Unlike high explosives, which detonated outward, napalm flowed inward. Once fired, the burning liquid seeped into every crack, firing port, ventilation shaft, and tunnel entrance. Gravity pulled it deeper into the underground network, following corridors and sloping passages that had been carefully engineered for movement and resupply. Inside the tunnels, escape was nearly impossible. As the napalm burned, it consumed oxygen at a catastrophic rate. Entire tunnel sections were suffocated within seconds. Soldiers who were not burned alive were asphyxiated in complete darkness, with no warning and no chance to retreat. Gas masks were useless. There was no breathable air to filter. Even reinforced concrete offered little protection. Heat cracked bunker interiors, ignited ammunition stores, and collapsed support beams. Fires raged unseen beneath the surface, turning the island's defensive network into a chain reaction of sealed furnaces. Japanese countermeasures were hopelessly outdated. Their primary anti-tank weapon, the 47mm anti-tank gun, was effective only at short range and required clear lines of sight. Flame tanks, however, operated from over 100 meters away, often firing indirectly into bunker openings without exposing themselves. Suicide anti-tank teams, soldiers carrying mines or explosive charges, were rendered ineffective by American infantry screening. Before they could close the distance, they were cut down by rifle and machine gun fire. The very terrain that once favored ambush now worked against them. There was also a critical psychological collapse. Japanese soldiers had trained to endure bombardment, hunger, and isolation. They had prepared to die in combat. What they had not prepared for was fire invading their last refuge. The tunnels, once symbols of safety, became instruments of terror. Reports describe defenders abandoning intact positions at the mere sight of flame tanks approaching. Some attempted to flee above ground, only to be immediately killed by American fire. Others sealed themselves inside chambers, choosing suffocation over immolation. The fortress had turned against its creators. Nowhere was this more evident than later at Okinawa, where American forces deployed entire battalions of flame tanks. One unit alone, the 713th Tank Battalion, destroyed thousands of fortified positions. The casualty ratio was staggering. Nearly 4,800 Japanese soldiers killed for only 9 American tank crew losses. It was not a battle of maneuver. It was a process of systematic eradication. Kuribayashi's tunnels, designed to neutralize American firepower, amplified its most terrifying form. Every design feature that once offered protection, depth, connectivity, concealment, now magnified the weapon's lethality. By the end, the island no longer fought back. It burned,